All right, guys, we're just getting the recording started. Awesome. Hi, you guys know me. It's Herb, and I'm here with my family. This is my husband, Paul. You may have to duck down and say hi. And my daughter, Allie. And we love to cook and we love to eat. So that is why we are going online and just sharing a couple of recipes. This isn't actually one that is like a family recipe or a favorite. It's just quick and easy, and we just really enjoyed it. It was, well, why don't you share? How do we come across this recipe?
Well, so I don't know if you're familiar with like the keto diet. You're probably very familiar with low carbohydrate diet. And a friend of mine said we had to try this Fathead pizza recipe because it's incredibly filling, very easy to make, and there's no carbohydrates in it. And so we're going to show you just how easy and how fast it is to make. And although it doesn't make the biggest looking pizza, you have one or two slices and you are stuffed. So it's just kind of a fun departure. We're Italians. We definitely like to bake and eat breads. And this was just a little different. It uses almond flour is your kind of your starch, if you will, and just plain old mozzarella cheese, and then a little bit of cream cheese. And those are pretty much the only ingredients besides a pinch of salt and an egg. And it takes the whole from start to finish will be done in like 15 or 20 minutes. And it is really good.
Tasty.
Little fattening, I guess, but
it's a little high fat.
If you're doing no carbohydrates, then evidently you can eat as much of this as you like. And I think it's also vegan. Is that right?
No.
No?
That's cream cheese.
Oh, that's
And
cream
an egg.
cheese.
Okay. Not
Whatever.
vegan. Not vegan.
Okay, I was on a roll.
Nice try, Paul.
So I think Erm shared the directions.
Recipe on Meetup, yep.
And nobody's cooking along with us, but we've already preheated the oven to 425 degrees, and we've actually already made one pie crust, so you don't have to sit here and wait for the baking to take place, except we'll put the toppings on and you can watch us do that and maybe even watch us eat it. So let's get started.
Sure.
Okay, all right.
So we want to put it in a microwavable bowl because we will be sticking this in the microwave.
And just like every good quality cooking show, everything is already pre-measured. So 1 3/4 cup of shredded mozzarella cheese, and you can pack it down a little bit. And then with that, you mix in 3/4 cup of the almond flour. And we're going to mix this together, and then I think we put the cream cheese in too, right, Erm?
Yes, we do.
2 tablespoons of just plain old cream cheese, and I do the soft kind, so it's easier to get the measuring spoon in there to be kind of accurate. I wash my hands.
Thankfully.
And there's you really can't screw it up if you do too much of one thing or too little of another. It's pretty rough ingredients.
And clearly we're a Publix family, so we like their products.
They're sponsoring this. Yeah. And then you just kind of mix it up a little loosely. You're going to microwave it twice. You're going to put it in first for a minute on high, just to kind of get it soft, and then you're going to mix it up again. And if you like spice, you can put garlic powder or rosemary or herbs into it after the second time it comes out of the microwave when it's a little softer, so that the dough has a little more flavor. But it's actually pretty flavorful just all on its own. Hopefully we won't blow a fuse.
Hold on, let me pop it back up again. We're putting in for how long?
1 minute.
1 minute on high.
Turn the lights off.
We might blow a fuse, it happens.
And while that's going on, you're going to need parchment paper, 2 pieces of it, and a rolling pin. And you're gonna roll it on the parchment paper, and you're actually going to cook it. So it's really easy. It's not messy at all, because you take the bottom half of the parchment paper and you just put that on top of your cookie sheet. Did you use a spoon, or you used the wooden spoon when you?
I used the wooden spoon. So we do have one that's already been cooked in the oven, and we'll show that to you in just a second. Tracy had a sneak peek. And then we also opened up some wine because we enjoy a little wine with our pizza.
Is that vegan?
I don't know who I'm eating. I don't think so. Maybe it is. I think it is.
So it's gonna, I can't see the, there it is, right? It's gonna be somewhat soft, but then you're just gonna kind of mix it up and it'll come together a little nicer now, and this will pick up the almond flour.
The cheese is melted a little bit.
That's, yeah, it's getting to be soft. Soft and unhealthy.
Soft and delicious. Oh, it smells so good, doesn't it?
And this recipe, you can also make tortillas and pretty much, I told you, fathead.com.
It's fathead.com.
You put it in for another 30 seconds after that quick mix.
Again on high. Zapping to melt that cheese.
When do we put the salt in? Is it in the end?
Oh, that's going to be next. We do the egg and a pinch of salt. I believe.
Yeah.
Yes.
And when it comes out, you're going to use your hands, and it should be pretty soft and, you know, rollable. And if it isn't, you just put it in the microwave for like another 15 seconds, the recipe says. And the only reason it wouldn't be is either you let it cool or you put too much cheese in.
Do you want to wash your hands since we're going to together? Okay.
Already let them know. So we're going to
So
put in a pinch of salt.
Ooh, nice
A
pinch.
little bit more than I wanted.
And
And
we
then
put in a little bit of sea salt versus regular salt just to make it a little less salty. But you can use regular salt.
and now,
You see
can
that
I see
steam?
that?
So hold on, this is what it's looking like now. Can you see the steam? The cheese is melting, kind of connecting in with that flour, the almond flour.
And then this you're just dumping in an egg to mix it in, and it doesn't soak it up that easily. You got to work it a little bit just because it's just a big blob of cheese at this point versus a big blob of flour dough. So I mix it together. I mix it as well as I can with the fork before I get my hands in there. Can you see all this? It should be really nice
Can
and
you see
soft.
this okay, John? Thumbs up if you can see it. Okay, yep.
All right. And it's not too hot now, but it is hot. So we want to work it together with our hands, and we do want to work with it while it's warm because it keeps it soft. It's going to make it easier to roll. All right.
Looking good.
Now,
You want to hold that up to the
Yeah.
camera and show them kind of the consistency and texture?
so it's
A little moist, but it goes into a ball pretty easily.
yep. And depending on your cookie sheet, you can do it rectangular. You don't have to be a purist and make it round. It's really whatever works for you. And then I got to wash my hands real quick.
Yep. And then once you've got that shape started, you're going to put that second sheet of parchment paper over top, and you're going to roll it. Ah, Maureen! Hi.
Hey!
Hey! You're Paul.
Hey there!
Hey,
Hey, Paul!
how you doing?
Hey, Paul!
Good, I'm getting hungry.
Yeah, making some pizza.
Yep.
Making the pizza.
So you can push it down, and this is where the instructions kind of don't get into
Too much detail.
too much detail. So you can actually, and it'll roll really easily because it's if you put it on while it's still warm, and that you really want to roll it to be whatever thickness you're in the mood for. So if you like a really thin pizza, you know, you can make it pretty thin. It holds together really pretty well.
And it doesn't really grow at all when it's in the oven. So whatever thickness you're gonna roll it, that's pretty much the thickness of your pizza dough. Ooh, look how big this one is. Nice.
It's because I had to put my cheese in.
So it's okay that I ate something.
All right. Is that keep going?
You got- You know we can hear you. Your little under the breath comments are hilarious. Ta-da!
Ta-da!
That's a pizza.
And then you
Almost a pizza.
you leave it on the parchment paper. You put it in your cookie sheet, and you cook it for about 12 to 15 minutes. But you need to really put tons of fork holes in it, otherwise it'll bubble up.
In fact, we have one that we cooked. It started bubbling up. We just opened up the oven quickly and did a couple of pokes. So you can keep cooking.
So I set it for 12 minutes. It says 12 to 15. And once it looks like it's browning, you pull it out and then you flip it and you put it in for another 3 to 5 minutes, just really to make it firm.
And by the
Oh my
magic,
gosh, you have a pre-cooked one.
Yeah.
the magic of television, we have one finished.
Yep. And so this was how brown the top was, and then we just flipped it for 10 minutes.
But we didn't just flip it with our hands. Do you want to hold that?
Oh, they don't need to buy that.
Well, they don't have to buy it, but let's just show you our little pizza flipper.
Peel.
Pizza peel.
Yeah, peel.
Pull that out to use it to flip it.
And so once you've gone this far, the fun part starts. You just put your tomato, your cheese, whatever toppings that you want, and it just takes 5 more minutes and you'll be eating. So we are.
So since this is our dinner, we've made our tomato sauce, our pizza sauce. We used a little crushed tomato. Allie, can you bring that can over here, please?
So
We used some crushed tomato. We're Italian, so we start from scratch. A little crushed tomato, and then what else did you put in there?
because it's just a pizza sauce, I just put a little butter, about 2 tablespoons of butter, and then some herbs, oregano, basil, salt and pepper. It's super easy. That's it, pretty much. No browning onions or anything like that. And then we sauteed mushrooms and onions. So we're having mushrooms and onions on our pizza, sticking with the vegetarian theme. There was a spoon in that can.
Here, you want to just use this?
No, I'll use this.
Competing styles over here at the Diorio household.
She told me she wanted me to cook, and now she can't control herself.
Back to cooking.
So you put butter in your pizza sauce, huh?
And actually, I'll do that in any marinara if I'm just using it as kind of like, if I'm cooking like an eggplant
Because
parmesan.
butter just adds a nice flavor, you know?
Yeah.
That instead of oil, and then you put the salt in. Honestly, if you just did butter and salt, you'd be fine if you like the taste of tomato, which I do. But I mean, obviously, we make more sophisticated. And then now it's really up to your preference. We could I would probably say we put this on first and then put the cheese on top of it.
Oh, nice. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. Go ahead. Ooh, zucchini too.
Is the wine low carb?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So Maureen, you missed the beginning of this, but this is a low carb, it's gluten free because it uses
It's the keto diet, yeah.
almond flour instead of regular flour.
Oh, nice.
And mozzarella cheese, and a little bit of cream cheese, plain cream cheese as the base for the dough. Pinch of salt.
Is that Publix almond?
Costco.
Yeah, we got the Kirkley brand, but you can get it at Publix as well.
All right, you want to top it with a little cheese that you
I
can't
do.
contain yourself?
I do. I can't contain myself. I did want you to cook. That's gonna be good. What do you guys like on your pizza?
Could you grab the oregano you bought? Or just
Pepperoni.
what's up?
We almost went with sausage, but decided to keep it a little light.
And banana peppers.
Oh, yeah. We'll send you our banana peppers.
It's a little sweet hotness.
And then you can put some aromatics on it if you want. Oregano or Italian seasoning. And then it only takes 5 minutes. 5 more minutes and we're done.
Oven's at 425. We keep it there. Timer 5 minutes.
We marinate the chefs.
And we were considering, you know, like a little bit of a side dish. Could it be a salad?
A bowl of pasta.
A bowl of pasta.
Get the cars back in there.
And then we really just started cooking, and now I think it's just gonna be pizza.
Do you think you could make noodles out of this?
I don't think
Could you make
so. You'd want
noodles
to
out
boil
of
it. I'm not
this?
quite sure how that would come out, but you can make tortillas, which I
Well,
thought
we
could
do
become
have the
a fun.
zucchini,
The
the
spiralizer?
spiralizer.
This won't fit on anything but that round thing.
We do have another cookie sheet we could put it on.
Yeah, but I don't think it's wide enough.
We could put it on the big cookie sheet for our second pizza. Honestly, we're probably not going to be able to finish the 2 pizzas.
We'll turn the recording off before so nobody knows.
And how long do we have this in for?
It's too wide.
Oh, big pizza. I think that'll fit on the circle. So
This
we'll
is
just
going
have
to
to be
be
patient.
much thinner than the one we made,
It-
so it'll
it
be
is gonna
interesting
be
to see if
much
that comes out.
It's going to
See?
be much thinner.
Live,
How's
this is
the
a long
crust
5 minutes
crumbly?
of live.
When you cut it,
Sorry, Tracy?
I said the crust when you. I guess you haven't sliced it yet, but I was gonna ask, is it crumbly when you slice it?
No,
The
it's
pizza.
got a really great solid consistency. It's not quite a pizza dough, but very similar. And the flavor is just very cheesy, so kind of goes with pizza.
It's almost
Sounds
better
good.
if you do put like a little garlic powder or something into the
Into the dough.
if you want to, you know, have a little spice.
Do we get pizza here?
A little more pizza to eat. Yeah. So I guess all you guys are pizza fans?
No, down with pizza.
Who's your favorite pizza provider here in the Atlanta area?
Everybody's pizza.
Oh.
Do they still
Everybody's
have it?
was good.
Everybody's was the,
That was our favorite. Over in Emory, we used to go there all the time.
Yeah.
Or Virginia Highlands. I miss everybody's pizza.
Fellini's is good.
And Mojo's
Fellini's
down
good.
in Oak is good.
I like Avellino's.
Oh, you know, we've only ordered from them once. It was very good. It was a small pizza.
I like their thick. They make a big Sicilian square box pizza. I like it.
That's a thick one.
I haven't had that in forever.
And that pizza Napoli. There's one.
Tell it
Sapori,
enough.
Sapori,
Sapori
Napoli?
enough?
Yes.
Yes,
And you
that
make-
is delicious.
That is spectacular.
There's one in Krog Street, and then there's one over on Monroe near the Monroe and Piedmont.
Oh, she's thinking about Antico pasta, I think. They've
Oh,
got-
maybe.
or
They're all good.
It's not a
Antico.
grog.
Yeah,
They're all good if they have an Italian word in them.
They have that really thin Neapolitan pizza crust, right?
Yeah. Yes. Oh.
But the Sicilian, yeah, I used to eat that as a kid. Up in New York back in the day. And I haven't had one since. I didn't know that they Avellino's did that.
Those like a thick, really thick square one. Yeah.
Yes. Delicious.
Yeah, I like that.
Me too.
I like my dough.
Me too. Paul's been baking a lot of bread too.
Yeah, low carb.
Oh yeah. Low fat, low carb, vegan, I don't know. Throw all those
Do you
in
have
there.
That's why we're so
Do you have a
thin.
bread maker? Do you have a bread maker, or you've been
You know,
baking?
we really had it, but we haven't been using it. Paul's been making round in a, what's the oven? The Dutch
And
oven?
a Dutch oven, yeah.
Dutch oven? Oh yeah, yeah.
They're beautiful.
Any sourdough? You do a sourdough
I'm trying to,
starter?
but I can't find whole wheat flour anywhere to make the starter. I mean,
That's right.
flour anywhere, really. It's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. Where's all the flour?
So ridiculous.
People made a run on it, and
With the toilet paper, the people who have the toilet paper have all the flour.
well, you know why it's so big is I made it so thin.
That's why you gotta make the Fathead pizza. You don't have any flour.
Except for the almond flour, which people don't get. So
Yeah.
you can get
Or if you're like me, you got it, and so you have it forever because you made the one thing you bought it for. Now you have it, you're covered.
total transparency. I bought almond flour thinking it was like equal flour to almond flour.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's then I found that out.
I put it to make these banana pancakes with. It makes really good banana pancakes. Almond flour.
Paul, are you hearing this?
With eggs, low carb.
Banana pancakes.
Yeah. Uh-oh. That's the next Diorio dinner, Theater.
Florida?
No, well, we use Pamela's.
Yeah. What's Pamela's
So it's
Spiel.
gluten free.
oh, so I wonder what is in her?
Is it almond flour?
Yeah, is it almond flour?
Probably.
Do we have it handy?
We don't even need Pamela's.
Gluten free and whole grain.
It's almost like the others.
Oh, so the timer went off.
Look, it says made with almond meal right on the front.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah.
All right, so this is our go-to Pamela's. We love this stuff.
Oh,
Yeah, they're a little bit more
Pamela.
creepy than big cakey. They're delicious, and yeah, we just found out that they're made with almond meal.
wow.
Very good. All right, well, you want to just pull it out? Yeah. Let's pull it out. Just take a look. Do you need gloves?
Yeah.
They're right there. Hidden.
Use your hands. Get your peel. You should be using your peel.
That's right.
Very nice.
So yeah, can you guys see that?
Bravo, bravo.
Yeah.
Cheese melted. It didn't quite brown all the way, but well, let's get that stuff.
Actually, no. Just put the whole thing.
Maybe here, you can peel it, can't you? There we go. And then we've got our handy dandy pizza cutter,
Yeah, cool with it.
and then we're ready for dinner.
You want to take that piece of paper off and we can put this on and put it in the oven?
Sure.
We're still on.
All right. Well, that's
Take it in.
sit over here. Oh yeah. All right, so we're gonna put the one that we just made in the oven. Oh, look at that, perfect.
You gotta-
Poke it. What happened to the fork?
It's in the sink probably. Knowing me and my overzealous cleaning habits.
So we noted before that you really need to do a good job forking it. Otherwise, it's gonna pop up in the oven. When we pre-did this dough, it was popping up in the oven. So we just opened it up real quick and popped the bubble. It was safe. It all worked out well. And this dough is much thinner than that one. It's going to be very interesting to see how this one does. Definitely a few less minutes.
And it's hot.
All right, so we're just gonna go ahead and stick this one in, but
You can cut the.
that's our show for the evening. Anybody have any questions?
Do you do hamburger buns with this thing?
Say that again?
Hamburger buns?
Do you do like burger buns with the same recipe, or?
Oh, with the dough?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I mean, if you go to the website, they have all kinds of other things you can do.
That's a really interesting idea, John. It doesn't really
I don't know how good it would be.
fluff. It'll be thin, but
It'd be
it
dense.
probably
It'd
would
be
be
dense if you make it thick.
really good around burger. But
Yeah.
Fathead pizza juice,
Be like a hot pocket.
Woo!
I
Yeah,
think
exactly.
you do, yeah.
More like a cocktail.
Like a
Yes.
pizza with it or a tortilla.
Yeah, definitely a tortilla. I mean, that would be the natural thing. But if you go to Fathead, I'm sure they've got tons of other recipes. This is just the only one that it was recommended to us and we gave it a try. So.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, thanks.
Our pleasure.
Enjoy your dinner. Good night.
Thank you guys for joining.
Got to go eat.
Bye.
We gotta go eat. You gotta go eat. Cheers. See ya. Bye, Tracy.